Ahoy hoy, I'm Murderer Shred, and today we're resurrecting this YouTube channel. It's not really dead, it's more like, just resting its eyes, but, finally we got some good news anyway. Total War has been a little bit of a content drought. We had some cool stuff with Champions of Chaos, but that was like 6 months ago, and now, finally, we're getting something cool. It's actually more than 6 months. Jesus, time really flies, doesn't it? Alright, well, anyway. Finally, a little trailer, which is really cool. I'll post that into the description. But for today, we're going to go through the blog post about a little bit about what CA are going to do. A little bit more about the Chaos Dwarfs. Because we're going to do this in one take, and it's going to be cool, I suppose. So, let's get on with it then, and let's go through the blog post. Well, as they go here, we'll basically just be reading it out, and then we will be, I'll just be sharing my thoughts about it, and see what happens then. It's going to be no editing or anything like that, because I'm like really lazy. I need to go and do other stuff as well. Maybe later on we'll do more edited videos as well, which we will probably do. I just can't right now. But let's get into it. The honestly not really a secret. Secret is out. Wait, did I not shut this bag? At long last, the missing puzzle piece of the Warhammer 3 experience you've all been waiting for is on the way. And we can guarantee that once this loss have rocked up, things are never going to be the same. And now, like, Chaos Dwarfs have not been a secret. Everybody been thinking about Chaos Dwarfs for a very, very long time, because it's back in Warhammer 1, they said that every single faction with an army book would have would be in the game, or would have its own faction, rather. So, we've been waiting for this a very long time, and instead we got stuff like Norska, we have gotten things like Vampire Coast, Cathay, Monogods. Really, the only factions that were left for Warhammer 3 were Ogre Kingdoms, Demons of Chaos, and Chaos Dwarfs. So this was basically the missing puzzle piece, but instead we got several other ones. And every single time, CSO said that no, they can't make new stuff. So Chaos Dwarfs have been very waited for, and it's been anticipated for a while now. But they can confirm now that the Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs will arrive in Total War Warhammer 3 as part of the 3.0 update in April the 13th. Which is very nice. You can pre-order the Forge of Chaos Dwarfs today on Steam, blah, 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 10% off the launch price. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what the price is and why. This is important, why we need to think about this. We will see in a second here. This I don't care about. Before we stuck into Astrogoth Ironhand, we got a quick update on our DLC plans. Legendary characters. Forge of the Chaos Dwarf include 3 ferocious and foul legendary lord: Astrogoth Ironhand, High Priest of Hashut, Thrashoth the Ashen, Sorcerer Prophet of Hashut, and Satan Black, commander of the Tower of Zar. They are joined by the one and only legendary hobgoblin hero himself, Goblins Backstabber. The maniacal group intend to construct the great drill of Hashut, which they will burrow through the very fabric of reality itself to conquer both the known world and perhaps also far more. Releasing 3 legendary lords with an additional legendary hero is new for us, and it's the path we'll follow for future releases. You told us you wanted more legendary heroes, and we agree. These new heroes can be recruited and used by all the lords in any given pack, offering up a lot more playstyle flexibility than before. In the case of Gordus, his appearance improves hobgoblins across the board, allowing more players to tap in amazingly quick wolf cavalry. In the first of a series of deep dives in the upcoming Troublesome Trio, you can read about both Burly Brawlers below. Okay, a couple of interesting things here, right? So we have 3 legendary lords instead of 4. Usually we always get 4. We get 1 free Sea Lord as well. For the Tomb Kings and for Vampire Coast, we got Repons and Lokir as lords. We got like more campaigns, which was cool, right? They weren't even included. And for we have had legendary heroes before as well. This is essentially as much content as you got in Twisted and Twilight, where you got sisters Thros, a legendary hero. You got Ariel, and then you got Drika as well, right? It's going to be very interesting because, as I said earlier, what's going to happen with the price? Like 10% off? Are we going to pay the same price still? Are they really so cheeky that they're going to give you that the first DLC that has actual shrinkflation in it will be Chaos Dwarfs? That's going to be a joke in terms of like you not even seen it. It's like shorts, shrinkflation. That's something always that bothers me. It's consumer rights is something you always should think about. Honestly, it's weird. Hopefully these dudes are cool enough and unique enough. I'm sure like it's always like one lore that's like kind of shit anyway, so nobody wants to play them. Like for example, you have Aranessa for the Vampire Coast that probably nobody really wants to play because they're not good, and then you have Ketep, who nobody wants to play because they're not good either. I know some people like to play them, honestly, but we're not lying to you. Honestly, they're not very good, and you like bad things. Like you can't really like you're watching this. You can't say that you like good stuff. That's just, we have to be honest as well to some degree. But this is still cool stuff. I'm still excited for this, but it is always good to know what you're getting and what you're buying for and what you're paying for. Because maybe they're going to have 2 Field Sea Lords. Maybe they're going to have something else, you know, so that people get something more for the price. Otherwise, getting less for the same cost is never good. Maybe their roster is like insane as well compared to the other ones. We'll see. Not much we can tell right now, right? We can tell, however, that we are getting Astrogoth Ironhands. Astrogoth Ironhands is oldest living sorcerer prophet of the Chaos Dwarfs, the High Priest of Hashut, and once most potent sorcerer to walk the plane of Zarduk. Astrogoth's waning power are a result of prolonged petrification, leaving him bound to a mechanical device that grants him movement. Astrogoth takes his place on the battlefield as an armored caster with a mixed spell lore, fire and Hashut, able to cover plenty of ground at a respectable speed and hold his own up close against enemy combatants. But on the campaign side of things, this High Priest has a few more tricks up his metal sleeves, excelling in the Tower of Zar by generating more conclave influence than any other Davi Zar, all of which makes him all the tougher to usurp. That's cool. So if you don't know, Chaos Dwarfs basically came to be when the Great Cataclysm happened, when demons came around, and a couple of dwarves got trapped, right, in the eastern mountains. They couldn't get out. They couldn't get any help. Everything was really, really bad. They had nowhere to turn. They had nowhere to go. They were dying, trapped in their mountains, besieged by everything. They prayed to every single god there was to help them. Nobody answered. None of their ancestor gods cared. No god cared. But one did. Hashut, the bull god, did. And he granted them the power to do magic. Now, for a dwarf, that's pretty cool. But also, they're pretty magic resistant. They're made to be magic resistant. So that wasn't good in the end. Because if they do, the more magic they do, the more they turn into stone. And that's why, for example, Astrogoth here has the mobility scooter so that he can actually do that. I guess the DARPA mobility scooter is what I'm going to be calling it or something like that. We'll see. Maybe I'll have something cooler for it later on. That's a good meme name, though. Yeah, it's the DARPA mobility scooter. A bit long, a little bit hard to say. A little bit long, I guess. Anyway, what we can also see here is that we're getting a new lore of magic, which is Hashut magic, which I hope is going to be cool. I don't really care if it's balanced or not. Nobody cares on the single player side. It's supposed to be fun to use, right? Like literally, you can meet Ikis and Helios nuke you, right? What's even balanced anymore, right? Just to have it fun. Then we also have Goblins Backstabber. Having outlived most of his fellow tribal leaders, Goblins Backstabber's naturally distrustful disposition and lashings and cunning grant him an enduring talent for surviving. With thick scars crisscrossing his shoulders, Goblins' luck carries him far on the battlefield. Focusing on melee combats, this sneaky fella works his way behind enemy lines, either on foot or mounted atop a giant wolf with faster movements. Okay, so here's a couple of things that you might want to think about with this dude. Right? Well, lore-wise, he has like a bunch of scars on his back, so it may only almost a hunchback thanks to the scar tissue. He's very hard to backstab. he survives basically only via being cunning and backstabbing and just like being very, I guess like if in a workplace, it would be very hard to work with, I suppose. I don't know how you have someone like that around, but you know, if you're evil, I guess you want people who are unreliable naturally. Here they sent me this this blog post image, so that's kind of cool that they would just have this shoe as a advertisement there. Anyway, gameplay-wise, Goblins Backstabber is a force to be reckoned with adding some serious versatility to hobgoblin armies. His presence is an army grants incredibly powerful buffs and stat bonuses. He has some extremely handy skills. He can keep ammunition flowing with Shoot 'em, or enable Vanguard deployment for all hobgoblins with Sneaky. And if stealth isn't your style, Get Thy Gits, summon a band of hobgoblin cutthroats to command. But the Goblins Backstabber is nestled among your army or breaking off from the pack to cover ground with less generic Lord of the Davisar. He's an invaluable asset. Okay, so a couple of things we should think about here is that I huff copium and hopium a lot. Like if somebody tells me like, oh, how many more race packs do you think there will be? I'm like 4 or 5 straight away. I think like in Koresh, like I don't think like Nippon is like super duper not gonna happen. I don't think that's like decided. I know people would say like no, they've said several times that's not gonna happen. Yeah, they said that about like Norska. They said they couldn't make stuff that didn't have army books, and then they made Norska, and then they made Vampire Coast, and they said like no, there's no way we can do something like Cathay. And then now it's like, yeah, well, it was lightning the ball, and then they're saying like no, we can't make that and that and that, but I can goddamn. Ooh, I'm betting money. Like I'm actually betting money on we're gonna get tiger men or cat boys and girls from in stuff like that. Like it's, I really believe that with my soul. But what I don't believe in is the hobgoblin cannons. Hobgoblin cannon, I think, is just no chance. I've never thought that that's gonna be like a cool thing to play, and I don't think they could make it work. And Goblins Backstabber is as close as you're ever gonna guess to getting the hobgoblin canis. They, like people can say, oh, they have army books or what? Maybe they have. I don't actually play the tabletop. I just, you know, read the lore and thought that was cool for like 10 years or something. I don't know. When I started reading the books. Anyway, hobgoblin cannon. I don't think that's gonna happen. But this is as close as you're gonna guess. And apparently, it's gonna have Shoot 'em, which will be just, I guess, the replenishing ammo you can get. Otherwise, you're just going to have that on Goblin Wolf Riders with bows or something. Vanguard deployment as well for them, or you summon one of them. And honestly, all of this doesn't sound super good. Very, like, on Legendary, I don't think you're going to be using any of these. He's probably going to be cool, though, as a melee lord. Just going in there and murder stuff, maybe. Maybe it's going to be really good as agents, campaign agents. We'll see. Who the hell knows, right? And in campaign, they have economy and labor. Well, obviously everybody has economy. I don't know why I read it like that. No thriving faction in Warhammer 3 is complete without a robust economy to fund their infernal war machine. And the Davisar are no different. The Chaos Dwarfs need laborers. They acquire them by besting their foes in battle or via the convoy mechanic, which we'll have more details about in the third part of the series in a couple of weeks, before setting them to work in mining outposts to harvest raw materials. Raw materials are crucial for the Chaos Dwarfs Empire, building a necessity for constructing the more advanced buildings and structures. Beyond that, they can be converted into armaments, unlock the true strength of the Dwarfs' fairy military. So you acquire labor, harvest raw materials, construct nightmarish buildings, and forge hellish weapons, bolster the Chaos Dwarfs. We call it labor now. It's we had the PR department talk about it, and we can't just call them you know, you can't say slaves anymore. Like they're so, like, Dark Elves already have that. It's gonna confuse the shit out of people. You just you have to understand that. Like it's labor now. You acquire labor. Plus, let's not forget the power of the treasury. Earned by winning battles, constructing outposts, utilizing factories, and selling armaments via convoys. The Chaos Dwarfs have many avenues with which to earn some serious coin. and it's up to you to ensure the gold keeps on flowing. Very nice. So what do we have here then? We have let's just check this one out. So we have these things as well. You can see here you have sorcery districts, for example, military districts, which is pretty cool. Immediately cause wall breaches when besieged. And this is an interesting one because, man, there's so many factions that have that now. Like, they gave them to beastmen. I understand that, honestly. Beastmen are fine to give that to. High Elves already had that. And Warriors of Chaos also got this. And now these dudes also got this. Which gets a little bit weirder that there's only like 2 factions. Because it's like Wood Elves and Vampires that cannot actually breach walls while in a battle, right? Everybody else can. And these dudes will probably have some artillery units, so they could do that anyway. But it's always weird when other people get that. But it's probably just, cool for later on, or later down the road vampire rework where they might have stuff like that where, monsters can break through them or something like that. Also had this one actually to check out. Should stop saying so much, really. Well, we'll see how this one actually works. These things are always really weird to just see in a picture, right? Because it doesn't tell you much on how it's actually going to be played. I personally don't delve into these too much because you can see you have a lot of things here and how we can't really know exactly how they correlate. I guess they do. We can see that in some amount though. But I'm not going to delve too much into this. We can always go into this later on as well. Instead, that's better. Why do I have this one up? Never mind this. Don't look at this. And Tower of Zar. The Tower of Zar stands tall within the Chaos Dwarven capital of Zar-Nagrund. It's a political battleground, the Davi Zar, and key to the success of an almighty faction of Chaos. Vying for seats within the tower will grant a diverse range of bonuses and rewards for the Chaos Dwarves. It also presents an opportunity for some competition between the factions outside of warfare thanks to multiplayer compatibility, adding a cooperative edge to the campaign experience in the former districts. That's cool though. I like that. That's probably why we had the different icons there as well, from different factions, because obviously those look like 2 different faction flags, right? Districts can benefit the entire culture of the Chaos Dwarfs and encourage all to work together to enhance Zar-Nagrund for everyone's benefits, with a chance to experiment with a variety of playstyles and try your hand at some sneaky diplomacy with some potential for some serious backstabbing. Tower of Zar is one of the most in-depth, unique, versatile campaign mechanics Total War Warhammer to date. Yeah, so you always have to take these things with a bit of salt, right? Like unique and versatile campaign mechanics. They also said like the Champs of Chaos was the biggest DLC they ever done, but it was also, if you just wouldn't have variants of stuff, like one Marauder of Nurgle, one Marauder of Khorne, slight differences and stuff, it wouldn't really be the biggest DLC unit-wise, would it? But maybe it's still good. I'm not saying it's good to be skeptical, Battles. Stand tall with bull centaurs. Serving the legions Asgore. The bull centaurs are monstrous additions to the Chaos Dwarf roster. Rocking the upper torso of the Chaos Dwarf, body of ferocious bull, these powerful melee commanders have fearsome beast stats thanks to their high armor and favorable stats, and play both offensive and defensive roles. Don't let their hulking size or preference for great weapons fool you. They are most definitely keen-witted. So I kind of like these. These are probably going to be very, very fun to use. Because what I don't like with Centigores, like normal Centigores for Beastmen, is that they're so squishy. Like, you put them in and then they might do some damage, but they'll usually just die And I don't want to really micromanage them too much. I understand that in multiplayer they might be different. In single player, though, I don't use them too much because I think they're a hassle, and I can just easily use something else instead that just will do better. But these things, heavy cavalry, that's the thing. One of my favorite units in the game now is easily the Skull Crushers. They are so goddamn fun. And Takes to the Skies. These look really cool, like the old-timey version of a Sphinx that had the human face, body of a lion, etc., etc. But, you know, chaosified. Bounding across the battlefield on 4 legs isn't the only way to maneuver your units. Bale Taurus is a gigantic monster with, again, the body of a bull. But this time coupled with the membranous wings of a dragon. Ridden into battle or flying solo, the Bale Taurus burns with horrific intensity. Weapons of strike liquefy into molten armor, and the monster sets the ground ablaze as it moves. Ready to devour its foe's whole, the more commonly spotted Bale Taurus won't be the only one on the battlefield. However, the Great Bale Taurus, reserved for the most powerful Great Dwarfs, will be an ally for those wanting to go bigger. Alternatively, the Lamasu, which is thought to be a rare and interesting mutation of the Great Tauri, it's not a being of rage, but instead a manifestation of sorcerer's intelligence. Though not as powerful as its cousin in combat, the Lamasu is instead able to employ magic, launching fireballs at the enemy, transporting allies on shadowy mounts in a blink of an eye. Alternatively, as they are blessed with an uncanny, insidious charisma that can befuddle enemies, they may simply choose to lead death creep mysteriously through enemy ranks. This is always hard to like see what it is though, right? Worst case scenario, this is like a Manticore. Manticores aren't that good once you go past mid-game, basically, which is fairly quickly. That's like turn 30 or something like that, so that Manticore stop being good. You can still use them, obviously. They're not like completely useless, but calling them good is a little bit of a stretch, I think. If they're heavily armored, that's going to be a different story, though. They could be really cool then, if you have heavily armored stuff. We'll see this one, though. It's always hard to say what this means, right? Because it basically says it can transport allies on shadowy mounts in a blink of an eye. Blessed with uncanny insidious charisma that befuddle enemies. I guess that's like enchanting attack. So when it's actually in there, it's gonna, do a debuff, possibly. Things like that. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll be sharing a more in-depth look at Astrogoth Iron Hands and the gameplay elements discussed above in an upcoming Forge of the Chaos Dwarf showcase. So keep an eye on the official Total War channel, our socials for further info. Beyond that, we've got more blogs and videos on the way very soon, showcasing our other 2 legendary lords from Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs. We'll of course have a full set of patch notes. The Chaos Dwarfs arrive in update 3.0 on April 13th. See you in the battlefield. Here we have that one. That's really cool, actually. I like that one. But that's the info we have today, which is nice. Did you like this style of video? Should we try to like maybe, do it a little bit better? Maybe have a little bit more editing? Or is this fine? Because here's the deal. I stream between 40 to 60, sometimes more hours a week. It's hard to get the energy to do these videos. This is the easiest format for me to make, where I simply just go around and rant, right? It's okay if people do not enjoy them, but if it's good enough, that's cool for me. I will try to make more YouTube videos as well. I do have ideas for things. I just haven't felt that there's a good way to do it. I know we have a lot of new subscribers here as well. Thank you to Legend of Total War for giving us the shout out like 6 or 8 months back. He's a goddamn legend. I just didn't do anything with that, and that feels kind of weird. But that's how it is. We got a content drought. Things got a little bit bad. But now things feel better. And I have the energy to make videos again. And this one, not too shabby to make. For me anyway. I enjoy doing this, sitting there and ranting a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Things we should take away from this, though. Hopefully the price will be correct, or will be better. A little bit cheaper, since we're not getting as many lords. Hopefully the lords we get otherwise are very high quality. If I had to guess something why we're not getting more lords and why it's taken so long, is that, like all the tech industry, everybody's been bleeding staff, right? And I don't think CA actually managed to keep replacing their staff fast enough, essentially. So them being spread thin did as well as they could, and that's why we're just getting 3 instead. Very likely now with a lot of new hires, like we saw in the Andy Hall interview, because now they have like 20 people there. We're probably going to have a lot of good stuff going there. Hopefully we'll have a very, very good year of Total War. They said they want to do 3 DLC this year, and that's amazing. If they do that, everything is going to be golden. It's going to be really, really good. Hopefully those 3 DLC will be good as well, because it all depends on the quality, right? But you can always check me out on twitch.tv/NerdRageFed. I stream there every day except for Tuesdays. Sometimes I'm sick as well, but that's not very often. Like I said, I stream a lot, like way too much. So, gotta say hello. And more videos in the future. Thanks for watching this far. If you watched this far, type something in the comment field like big balloon box, something. Do you do that on YouTube? I don't even know. Anyway, like and subscribe. I love you all. Bye-bye.